Hey y'all. So today I'm gonna talk about something that makes me legitimately angry. Something that I can understand in some aspects, and actually we're gonna look at a story where it is completely understandable. But that makes me angry nonetheless. Victim mentality. Now I'm not talking about just someone who blames other people once or twice, because we can all fall into that. We can all blame other people, especially maybe when it's their fault. But, like I say, it's the mentality. It's someone who blames something else over and over and over again. It can never be their fault. It's always gotta be something else. Always gotta be some ideology. Always gotta be the government or society or their race or their gender or whatever. And that makes me that makes me angry because God didn't create you to be a victim. In fact, that victim mentality is one of the easiest traps to fall into. Therefore, it's one of the easiest things that the devil can use to make you doubt yourself, self-deprecation, just make you think you can't do anything on your own. Everyone's always got to be against you. Now, in some cases, I mentioned I can understand in some cases that I can. Because in some cases, that's completely justified. The story we're going to look at today. In some cases, you you try to do everything right, indeed, but it seems like everything is literally planned to get you. It seems like someone has a vendetta against you with everything that maybe you've unjustly gone through. I've been thinking about this for a while, but I've never felt the need to speak on it, but going into the new year, I think it's more than appropriate. If you would turn me to Ruth 1:20 and following. Again, Ruth 1:20 and following. We're going to look at someone who not only had a victim mentality at first, but who ultimately overcame their victimhood and victim mentality. A little background. The story of Ruth, Naomi and the Elimelech family go to Moab because of the famine. And while there, they meet their son to betrothed. Also, while there, Elimelech dies, two sons die. It's very sad. And Naomi gets word that the famine's stopped. And she tried to go herself. She's originally gonna go with her daughters, but ultimately she says, "Hey, turn back. I'm old. Really, there's nothing for you. There's nothing for you. I'm headed. I mean, just go back and live your life. May the Lord bless you and you all that I taught you, but ultimately go back and live your life. She doesn't want to feel like she's a burden to them anymore." And obviously Ruth goes with her in a very moving speech. He says, "Your people shall be my people, and your God my God. I'll die where you die, and be buried by your side." Because of that love she had for her mother-in-law, they grown close. They've grown close throughout the years. We pick up in verse 20 when they arrive at Bethlehem. Someone asked, it said Naomi. And we pick up in verse 20 where he says, she rebukes him, do not call me Naomi, call me Mara. For the Almighty hath dealt very bitterly with me. I went out full, and the Lord brought me home again empty. Why do you call me Naomi, since the Lord hath testified against me, and the Almighty hath afflicted me? Little side note, the word Naomi basically means joy, or pleasant, or goodwill. And the word Mara means bitter, so it's appropriate there. So Naomi returned, and Ruth the Moabitess, her daughter-in-law, who was with her, who returned from the country of Moab. Now the king of Bethlehem at the beginning of barley harvest. Now continuing with the story, I'm not going to read all of it, I'm just going to recite it. Continuing with the story, Naomi eventually uses her bitterness and regains the joy of the Lord that she has when she realizes that there still hopes, that Ruth has met a man named Boaz who she's attracted to, and Naomi actually comes up with a plan to win Boaz's favor to propose to him. But long story short, she marries Boaz. Naomi has a grandchild. Naomi has a grandchild, and all of it is good. But that's what can happen. I'm not saying that what necessarily will happen, but that's what can happen, and that's what the Lord wants for you when you stop being a victim and you stop blaming other people. Again, sometimes it's justified. Like right here, it was, I could see the justification for it. I mean, Naomi was just being a good wife and following her husband. I mean, she didn't really do anything wrong, but yet she thought that the Lord was punishing her. The Lord, as he always does, has a plan in place, but at the time she thought he was punishing her. But even if you feel like the Lord is punishing you, and maybe he is, maybe he's disciplining you a little. Even if you feel like the Lord is punishing you or disciplining you, it's ultimately for your benefit. He never does so without reason. He's not acting abusive parent or something. He never disciplines or never lashes out, if you will, without reason. Ultimately, that's to make you better. But this goodness can't happen. This joy can't happen if you stay in a victim mentality and you keep blaming other people. And some people just want to stay in the victim mentality. I mean, most don't, I would imagine, but some want to stay in the victim mentality because that way there's a sense of attention. I mean, nothing can ever be their fault. They always have someone to feel sorry for. I mean, there's always that one guy or that one girl, and most times it was me. There's always that one person who maybe gives in to that self-pity that they have for themselves. But ultimately, in order to, the first step to healing themselves is realizing that maybe they're not as big a victim as they thought they were. And maybe analyzing some of their own choices that brought them to this point. Because more often than not, if you have a victim mentality and you analyze your own choices, you see really a pattern of destruction that you've shown for yourself. But here's the beauty part. Just like Naomi and Ruth, to an extent, God can bring you out of that. I mean, He wants ultimately the best for you. Even if you feel like everyone is against you. And that may be valid. Everyone may be. It's probably not, but that may be valid. But even if you feel that way, God will never be against you. God is always for you. God may be telling you to make some changes in your life, but ultimately, He's never against you. Now you can turn against Him, and if you do that, one day He'll ultimately leave you be because of His grace and because of His power, and ultimately because of His love for you. But He'll never turn His back on you. He'll never leave you. What He wants for you is ultimately the best. He doesn't want you to live in victimhood. He wants you to live in victory. Because that's what He created you for. That's what He ultimately sent Jesus for. For you to have the opportunity to live in victory. Because if He didn't send Jesus, if He didn't send Jesus, there'd be no hope. I mean, there'd be no chance of victory for anyone. But He ultimately did it not because He deserved it, not because any of us deserve it, but He did it because He loves us, and He wants us to be by His side. That's a difficult concept for even the most seasoned pastor to wrap their mind around, but it's true. He ultimately does love you, and He ultimately wants victory for you. Whether you know it or not, whether you believe it or not, that does not change the truth. Ultimately, you can come to Him with anything that you've done, anything that you do, anything that you will do. You can come to Him out of a pure heart, and He will raise you to victory. He will raise you out of victimhood and into victory with Him, because He loves you. Guys, I love you. I'll be praying for you. Have a happy new year. I hope you had a good Christmas. We hope this next year will be a lot better for people than this year was. If there was any year for people to be stuck in the victim mentality, it was this year. Because this year has been rocky for some people, to put it lightly. But guys, I love you. I'll be praying for you. Have a happy new year, and I'll see you next week.